The Chao here with Third Movement. I wanted to bring another video to you guys. I want to get back in and finish up the Black Lives series that I've been doing, and this one's going to be called Black Lives, Faith and Leadership. And the second video, if you haven't seen it yet, was more like a brief history of when Black Lives Matter or when Black Lives did well in America. And in this one, I'm going to be explaining why I think that faith and leadership in the black culture will be the most important to rebuilding the black culture. But I want to say this, and then I think this is really need to be said. So when we look at America, America is like no other place in the world when it comes down to people. Simply just because America is built on so many different people, so many different cultures, right? So when we look at America, and I said the black culture one time, and a white person got real offended as if I was saying something that was bad, and it's not. Me personally, I feel that okay, the black culture is a culture, just like I feel that the church is a culture in America. I feel that America is a culture in itself. Then when it comes down to the worldwide, right? So America is filled with different cultures, right? You have the Caucasian different cultures, right? You have the Irish people. You have the England people, people that came from England. You have people that came from different parts of the Caucasian world. And just like you have Africans, people that came from different parts of the African world, whether by slavery or whether by way of slavery through other means. For example, Jamaicans. Um, you had Jamaicans in the country that went to them islands after slavery, Haitians, and so you have different. The biggest mistake that as black people or as the world when refers to black people is we don't really see that there's different cultures in Africa, right? We see Africa as this one place instead of seeing Africa as this country. I mean, not country, but continents of countries. So when we look at Africa, you're not looking at one group of people, right? You're looking at a group of people from the same continent, but you're seeing a lot of different groups. Like you got a lot of different countries, and each countries have their own customs. Each countries have their own beliefs. Each countries have their own things that they do, and their own people, and their people are different from country to country in that continent. And I think that the world doesn't realize that. So when you say African American, we all didn't come from the same place that other Africans came from, or we all didn't believe in the same thing that other Africans believed in, right? So you had Christianity. There's this notation that of Christianity being a white man religion, but if we look at Christianity, not even 30 years after Jesus, it got to Africa, right? So since Jesus left, Christianity was in Africa, and who knows? It might have been in Africa at the time that Jesus was here. Jesus could have talked to someone who went back to Africa and migrated from Africa. We got to remember that when Jesus was a baby boy, was born, the king at the time wanted to kill him, right? They wanted him dead, and that's simply just because they knew of the prophecy. So the first thing that Mary and Joseph did was took Jesus to Africa, and he blended in well. So there's no telling that Africans couldn't have been in front of the in the it came from Jesus for some of Jesus' preachings, and took it back to Africa. So we're not looking at a country in Africa that never had Christianity. No, Christianity played big parts of certain parts of Africa, just like different religions, the voodoo religions. They play big parts of certain parts of Africa. We have Muslim, the Muslim religions that played big parts of certain parts of Africa. Then some parts of Africa had their own faith. So this whole idea that Africa is all Africans believe the same thing is a farce. I heard someone said that if Black America want to get back to want to get back to where the Black Lives Matter, basically they need to go ahead and get back to the religions of Africa, the voodoo religions of Africa. And I'm looking like, really? Like all this one group of people, everybody in this whole continent is gonna believe this one thing, and it was just amazingly funny to me. But anyway, so for me, when I look at when I start talking about Black lives, I'm not I don't really in this country when I look at Black lives, I don't really say Africa is where we should look to because we got this is a group of people that never been in Africa. This is a group of people that after slavery we seen much success. There was a lot of success after slavery, right? We know about the Tulsa, Oklahomas, and there was a lot of different Tulsa, Oklahomas, right? And if we look in all these communities, one thing that was prevalent was the churches and the faith was faith and leadership. You can't think that you can build something as a community without having leadership. And the leadership was shaped by something, and that something was faith, right? So when we go back down to the '60s and Martin Luther King and the different movements in there, these was a lot of people that was shaped by faith. Majority was shaped by faith in Christianity, but you had the Malcolm X, who, if you don't know the story of Malcolm X, he was shaped by his faith in the Muslim, on its morality that it taught, or the morality that he was taught through it, so much that he was he was ready to roll on the line of I don't even know, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. I'm sorry if I'm saying that wrong, but because he believed in his morality, and that's what made him a leader. That what made him a leader. We have this notation, and matter of fact, I'm gonna hold on to that leadership for a little bit. So, but faith was very important in guiding the leaders in these countries. And faith did another thing. Faith kept the community together, right? By keeping the family together. I tell you, if you go on my channel, one of the biggest things you're gonna see is I talk a lot about community, and I talk a lot about faith, and I'm sorry, family, and how we cannot rebuild the family. We can't without rebuild the community without rebuilding the family. It goes hand in hand. This ain't no Republican mumbo jumbo. No, this is coming from straight up. If you look at the world and who lead the world, these 1% of the families, they are families. They're not individuals. They are families because there's power in family. There's power in marriage, and then there's power in family that comes from marriage. And the power kind of like stems off the marriage to the family. And the enemy, the devil, knows that, and the people who are in power knows that. So that's why they attack marriages and family. If you see all the stuff, it's attacking marriage. Most of the stuff that in our culture attacks marriage or attacks family in a huge way. If you see the TV shows with family on TV shows, they all fighting, they all gossiping each other and everything. You see the marriages, they all hate each other, but they say marriage because it's the right. They say marriage because it's the right thing to do, and that was not so, especially in the history of African Americans after slavery, because slavery was this big deal, and I never want to take nothing away from slavery. Slavery was this huge deal, but what was equally as huge or just as huge was there was after slavery. I mean, like almost immediate after slavery, there was a power that they had, and the biggest power was in marriage and family, and they used that to build their communities. They used that was based on faith, was what the white man what the white not white man I'm sorry, what the slave masters see, because the Bible says, and this is beautiful. The Bible says all things work to the good of those who love God and call according to His will. That's why we have Dr. Ben Carson saying that if it wasn't for white people, he wouldn't have got his faith, because faith is a good thing. Even yes, it was misused. The slave masters hugely misused it, right? They hugely misused it, but God still used it after slavery to build black people up. I mean, for a long time, it was used to build black people up, and I really believe that if we would have stayed more committed to our faith, we'd be farther along. Now, this whole idea that the white man gave us religion, I'm thankful. Now, that's not true. Like I said earlier, Africa, Christianity was already in Africa. I am 100% sure that if I would have grown up in Africa, I would have my faith. Look at these African countries right now going crazy over Jesus. It's not because of a white man. It's not. It's not. It's never been a white man religion. It was a black man religion before it was a white man religion. Now do your research on that. I'm not. That's not what this video is about. But do your research on that. So when we see the black people in faith, we seen that it led us to build up our marriages, our family, and our community. Because you can say whatever you want about Christianity, you can't refute this. That it teach you to love God and it teach you to love each other. You cannot refute that, and that's the two. That is the two biggest things in the Bible that Jesus spoke on. You can say whatever you want about Jesus, but you cannot refute those two things right there. You cannot. And for me, I build my life on that, and it leads me to be a better person because I'm loving God. I'm not just loving a God that just there. No, no. I love a God, a higher power that makes me better. Right? I love a higher power that says, DeLacy, you need to change. DeLacy, you need to be better. And then I take me and I change with the help of God and becomes a better person. And then I transfer that when I'm out in the community, loving the people in the community. When I'm with my family, loving the people in the family. And that's what a faith supposed to do. That's what faith is. So I believe that if we can get back to that, you may say, well, I don't believe in Jesus or whatever. Listen, you can't show me any evidence that Jesus was never real. Just like I can't show you no evidence that Jesus is here, other than I have a chance to show you evidence that's built on substance of things that happen to me or things that happen around me. Right, but we neither one can give a physical evidence for or against Jesus. So that whole idea of Jesus not being real, that you need to just stop that. Just say you don't believe in him. And I'm fine with that. I can't force Jesus would never force you to believe in him. If Jesus, matter of fact, when Jesus was here, he was the Christ and people didn't believe in him. So that's fine. I don't lose nothing over people ain't believing in God. I ain't believing in Jesus. I'm fine with that, right? Because I know, but I do know this: you can't refute his teaching. That his teachings will make you better. You can't refute loving a higher power that makes you better and loving someone else, and loving other people and trying to make them better. You can't refute that, and you can try all you want. You can't. And once our leadership was built on that, our leadership was built on being made better by a higher power, and then just being made better by self. Because self, the Bible tells us that the heart is deceitfully wicked. Who could trust it, right? So when leadership was guided by Christ and the teachings of Christ, right? Not just somebody's interpretation of Christ. No, the true teachings of Christ. That's when leadership flowed better, right? The day we have leaders that has no substance, all they have is they can speak well, right? Or they get out and do stuff in the community, and which is a good thing, but we don't know where that's coming from a lot of times. But when you have somebody with something making them better, you can trust it because they're being better. They have a morality, and we don't have leadership with high morality right now in the black community in America. Period. Look at all our leaders; they'll say anything to get a vote. I mean, most of them would say anything to get a vote, and that's sad. They'll do anything to get a vote, and that's sad. So for me, Black lives and faith and leadership is so equally important. And check out my family series. It's not out yet. I'm still working on it. I have that up before this year ends. But it's going to be talking about the power that we have in family. Because the marriage series, it's already up. We talked about the power in marriage, and that power trickled down to the family, and you get a better understanding. So yeah, I believe that faith and leadership is equally important in the black lives. DeLacy Howard, and I'm Third Movement.